Good morning, everybody. I am Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. Hope you're having a good Sunday morning. I am Abac. Good to see you. Lifeboat is here. Lisa Trimble, Holly Grace, Chase that cat. Hello, Johnny Scoville. Greetings. Katie the Diva is preparing for her first live stream. I saw that. She's running around and getting busy. The cat's a star waiting to happen. There's absolutely no two ways about it. The cat is a star waiting to happen. Truth Finder, good to see you. Sir Tedrick Walker, what's happening? Have you all met the cat? Put a deuce in the chat if you have seen Katie Purry, if you have gone by my brother's channel and seen the new addition to the Scoville clan. It's small, it's white, it's furry, and it's got paws about as big as mine. Like this kitty is going to end up being, freaking massive. This is going to be a very, very big kitty. Can everybody hear me all right for 5x5? I messed around with a little bit of the audio and the video stuff right before we went live. Hey, SpongeBob. Well, there's a name I know that if I had said hello to you before, I absolutely would have remembered that. Folks, there's all kinds of weirdness. Thank you, Johnny Scoville. There's all kinds of weirdness taking place in the land of weird amongst the Hollywood set. The Beyonce Carter has just announced the Cowboy Carter tour. I think this first broke on USA Today said it first. Everybody kind of knew this was coming. People have been talking about this for weeks. But I think the timing isn't an accident. I think the heat is now on that camp. The last filing from Busby is the you-know-what slap from hell from an attorney. Hey, Jordan, good to see you. And I'm not playing. This is an ugly slap to the face because if the filings are correct, then what's going to happen is they're wide open to the fact that the house existed, that 13-year-old victim described. And if that's the case, then old Voldemort has been telling lies. And thus the reason for the full court press, trying to get everything shut down. Thank you, Truth Finder. Glad to know I am loud and clear. Lisa Trimble, good to see you. Glad that you're here. Sammy Joe, welcome. Good to have you. A little earlier than I normally go on a Sunday, but I have a lot of stuff that I got to get done today. And this evening, we do Night Yard. And that's where 2 federal inmates and a state inmate come on and we answer any questions you want, all things convict. And then we usually tell a couple of stories that probably end with somebody getting stabbed. Because sadly, that's the kind of stuff that happened behind the wall. And it's the kind of stuff that people find interesting when you talk about the joint. Although, you can end up covering a lot of that stuff, actually. You talk a lot about what just happens during the day. Yeah, hit that like button, says Jordan, and I would appreciate that, folks. We are fighting to get out the truth. So speaking of which, you know who else is getting out truth? Kanye West is firing it back up, folks. And by firing it back up, I mean he is back on the platform formerly known as Twitter. He is on X. And by the way, he said calling it Twitter is like calling him Kanye, damn it. His name is Ye, and that platform is called X. He came out on X and said he acted like Kanye, just to keep it real, right? Yes, welcome to the boat. Harold, glad you're here, Harold. Good to have you here. Craig, glad to have you here. Marmelo, what's happening? It's always weird when I say stuff like, hey, Craig, good to see you. Or, hey, Harold, good to see you, because I'll be honest, true crime is a little bit heavy on the female side. So the crew of the lifeboat is very heavy female, based not on me, but on true crime and the stuff that, true crime is definitely something that more women follow than men. And I think that that makes sense to me, believe it or not. Kathy, how are you, Dr. K? That would be Kathy Knitting. Woofy! All right, now we can start. Woofy is here. So Kanye, I'm sorry, it's disrespectful. And I'm not being funny. If the guy wants to be called Ye, I'll call the dude Ye. You know what I mean? I don't much care. I figure if a person, I look at that as this guy wants to shift out of whoever he was. And I think that this is a guy, let's keep it real. Ye is burdened big time with some problems mentally, right? I am too, by the way. I take medication. I suffer from mental illness. I'm not ashamed of that. But it's weird in Ye's case because this guy says that he was given a lot of stuff he didn't want, and that he's quite normal when he's not on stuff, but that they were forcing him to be. But you hear that a lot from people who take medication. It's hard to know what's real and what's not. Feisty Irish, good to see you. Sir Tedrick Walker, Lisa. And I'll tell you why it's hard to know what's real and what's not is because once you start getting around Ye, then you're also around who? The Kardashians. Those people are downright evil, and I'm not playing games. So there was a feud, and you guys probably know this, a long, long time ago. A young girl named Taylor Swift won an award for Video of the Year. Ye, at the time known as Kanye, was at the award ceremony and thought it would be a good idea to say, hey, she shouldn't have won that. That should have been Beyonce. Johnny Scoville, good to see you. That should have been Beyonce, because who doesn't do that in an award ceremony? Low budget, right? But it started a whole bunch of garbage. Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate that. It's funny as hell to me that Casper and I, so the only day we will not do the morning show is on Sunday. Both of us are believers. We do church, so we won't be doing Sunday morning. We'll be doing every other day of the week. And the morning show that we do over on After the Bars, if you haven't gone over and hit subscribe to After the Bars, you should do that when you leave here. You'll like it. I promise you. It's fun. It's a very, very good time. But it's funny because Casper and I sat in a cell, right, for a really long time and talked about all kinds of stuff. Talked about this literally 11 years ago. Wasn't quite ready to pull the trigger yet, I guess. 14 years ago. I'm sorry, 14 years ago. Long time ago. Long time ago. All right, so back to Ye. Back when he was Kanye West, he does this stupid crap on stage, right? And then booyah, the whole world kind of blew up about it. It made him look like a steaming pile of I'm not very intelligent. And there was beefing back and forth in the way that only really rich, weird people do it. They wrote about it in songs. And he made a reference in a song where he said something, I don't really follow it, but something along the lines of, I made that B word famous, referring to Taylor Swift. Because we all know, had he not done that, none of us would know who Taylor Swift is. And I think you all can agree with that, because that's just downright logical, isn't it? Hey, I love that. Salute. I have no idea where that is. Is that Denmark? What is DE? Somebody help me. I'm not bright. It was really disgusting when he did that. Kim, welcome. Miriam, I'm glad that you're here. Grammy, you are not on replay. You are catching this live. Awesome. Glad to have you here. That was so rude when he did. It was disgusting. Thought like Taylor Swift was better. Taylor Swift would have gotten to the heights that she's at without any help from the great Kanye West. This I promise you. However, that's not something that Kanye believed. And he made a steaming pile of excrement out of himself. Folks, that's my cat. Give me 2 seconds. I'm a pro. Don't try this at home. Sorry, Squirrel Nut Zipper, since the little cat has got here, Squirrel now thinks that she's considerably younger than she is. It's kind of an issue, but we'll get used to it. Do you think that Kanye essayed that lady in the studio? I'm going to believe the lady in the studio. I am. I believe that happened until there's going to be some hard evidence to say that it didn't. I'm not. That's going to be me for the rest of the time that I'm on this earth. And I would recommend that to everybody. But if you happen to be a dude, I would really recommend that. Yes, in the chair, out of the chair. It's my cat. Marmelo says, I believe her too. Good. I want that. I think that everybody needs to do that. I think that needs to be the default setting, because we're going to see a lot and we're going to hear a lot. This is going to become an epidemic. I promise. I mean, not that it isn't already, but I mean an epidemic of lawsuits, an epidemic of discovery, and an epidemic of things that have been taking place in the shadow are going to be brought to the light. There are too many of us. And by us, I mean us, literally, right? I'm not talking about the people that on YouTube who watch true crime. Don't watch true crime. People watch, television. People get very interactive when they start to do the true crime thing on YouTube or on any platform. And they start to interact and they start to ask questions and they make people think. Somebody sent me an email and it was genius. And it was not, it's not a thought that I hadn't had, but they did so much more a succinct job of taking something that I think every one of us has thought and putting it into words that were nothing shy of incredible. I'll share it with you because it's kind of it's relevant. But in this Diddy situation currently, the biggest fight that they've got going, they lost the battle to get him out. Right? They wanted more than anything on earth for him to get bail so that he could leave there. He could sit down, work with the lawyers, and taint the witness pool. Reach out to all of the people that he knows that he has done harm to or believes that they think he's done harm to, or however you want to look at it. But he had a hit list, so to speak, of people that he needed to influence one way or the other. That is what is alleged to have been found. Now, if he was on the street and he had a cell phone or he had access to that kind of thing, he'd be getting a whole lot more busy. I think everybody is in agreement on this as a concept. This is why he's locked up. Once that bail thing went bye-bye, the next focus became the Cassie tapes, the freak off tapes that his attorney wrote a letter for the world to hear. And that letter said that it described what the tapes, what they interpreted to be looking at on the tapes. That, make no mistake, they didn't describe what's on the tape. You can't do that. You can't. It doesn't work that way. Even if you're watching me right now and there's someone sitting 5 feet from you, you got headphones on, they can't see me, they can't hear me, and you're describing what I look like, what I'm doing, it's still an interpretation. You have to then use words to describe. It is, anyway, before we go too far afield. Their play is to get these tapes out into public. So he writes this letter so that everybody has an opportunity to see through his words. Cassie's having a good time. In fact, she's the dominant one. Right? All of these things that, by the way, they're not supposed to do. There's a gag order. None of that's supposed to get out. And because of that gag order, if they want to look at these freak off tapes, there's going to be somebody there monitoring it. They have to go and look at it somewhere. They're not taking that stuff to Diddy. And Diddy wants it. They're filing, and they're going full court press. And the person said, why do you think that is? When that tape of Cassie Ventura getting beat up in the hotel in the Intercontinental, when that tape came out, everybody in the world changed how they viewed this case. There were people out there that went, you know what, Cassie's just trying to get paid. There were so many people out there because this guy's a billionaire and he's got he has a media empire, right? A media empire. You know the pressure you can bring to bear on somebody if you control information, if you have that kind of control, the kind of pressure that you can put onto somebody. But when that tape dropped, everything shut off. Doesn't mean that machine wasn't out there trying to make him look good. It's that the whole world commented on that video, and whatever noise that they were all making trying to put up a smoke screen just got blown completely off the playing field. They want the same thing to happen when they release the freak off tapes. They want that tape so that it can get leaked. They want that tape to get out to the street. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. It makes more sense than you could possibly imagine. They're only, hey, Heather K, thank you so much. Christy Covington, good to see you. Darcy's here. Good to see you, Darcy. I think I said hi to Kim, but hi, Kim. Sharon Clark, what's up? Does this make sense to you? Put a 2 in the chat if this makes sense. When they knew they could not get the tape, if they weren't going to be able to leak this, if people weren't going to be able to see her having a good time, that's their narrative. That's their interpretation. Their interpretation is she's in control. She looks like she's having fun. Now, send in a professional who works with people who have survived this kind of abuse, and they're going to have a different interpretation of what you see on that tape. However, the prosecution is going to paint a case. Keep in mind, this guy still maintains his innocence in all of it, although we're not giving him that benefit of the doubt on beating the crap out of her in the hallway. Right? They could try to get that tape thrown out or do whatever they're going to do, but let's keep it real. He apologized. He came out and commented what was on that tape. He didn't come out and say, hey, I'm not a good guy. Hey, what was on that tape? It made me sick then. It makes me sick now. And it's making 310 people sick just hearing about it. This is for them, the Hail Mary. If they could get this tape out into the public, they're hoping the public is going to view that tape the same way that the attorney does. But what I would say, and I think what the prosecution is going to do an excellent job of painting, is that tape of Cassie in the hallway, he's running from a freak off. All that fun she was having, she's trying to get away from a freak off is what they allege. That's what happens if you're not smiling into the camera. That's what happens if you don't pretend that you're into it. That's what happens if you don't look dominant, or that's what happens if you don't look submissive, or whatever the hell the guy in the corner rubbing out a giggity is telling you to do while he's filming it. And the wax burns on, lower and lower because he's going to have these weird sessions go on for days. This is what is alleged. Interview in Rolling Stone magazine talking to a alleged male sex worker that had been hired by the diddler to get paid between $3 to $5K to come in, or maybe it was between 2 and 5. I think the article said it was between 2 and 5. My bad. To go in there and violate his girl. Also, we know that they had, I'm going to say the name of this wrong, but you're going to get the idea. They had the Bang-O-Matic machine or Bango machine or something. It is a pneumatic device that will push a prosthetic penis, a dildo, back and forth on a machine so that you can simulate a human being doing. So if everybody breaks down, right, he could still abuse his girl for, I'm sure she was having a ball. This is the length that that the defense is willing to go to try to get this guy off of this sentence. They know. That's a tough line of work right there, man. I don't know how you go to sleep at night. Personally, I don't know how that person goes to sleep at night. You're going to tell me how does this work for Agnifilo? Because nose hairs? Yeah. I'm sorry, that is the worst feeling in the world. Well, Floor, Beyonce announced that, and if you were, got here a little earlier, Beyonce announced the Cowboy Carter tour. Right? She did this, in my humble opinion, the timing of which is a smokescreen because there's a lot of dirt flying up around her husband. But yeah, she's going on tour. The Cowboy Carter tour. Hadn't really announced squat in terms of cities, in terms of dates, in terms of how much the tickets will cost. Usually one does that. But they're going to try to space all of this out. And between now and the Super Bowl, they're going to be putting up smoke screen after smoke screen after smoke screen because this is ugly. They're getting to the point now where this is banging at the door of rock, right? This is where Rock Nation has to go, holy crap, this isn't a joke anymore. The effort that they put into discrediting this person, trying to get this autistic, the person that alleges that this happened is autistic. She was 13 when she alleges that it happened. And they have done a full court press to try to discredit this girl. And I'm blown away at when you look at the difference between how Peacock treated victims in the Diddy documentary and compare that to how NBC, parent company of Peacock, treated the victim, alleged victim of Mr. Carter. They brought that girl on to disprove what happened to her. They brought her on to try to disprove that. There's no two ways about it. That's the kind of thing that happens all the time. Who cares? That power structure that goes on in the entertainment industry protects its own. No matter what they do, they want to protect their own. And this has been going on for a really, really long time. So when this full court press comes out, what's the first thing the guy does? Well, allegedly, right? This is all alleged. He denies all of this. He also denies he ever touched that girl, blah, blah, blah. However, there are people who signed affidavits to say that the Rock Nation people sent down a bunch of gangsters, because I don't care if you're carrying badges that aren't real, you're a gangster. I know people that have done it. Might have gotten in trouble for it once myself, but that's a gangster move, man. That's a gangster move. Do you see that or do you not? Oh, no. Oh, no. We have people moving toward hate. Yeah, Parlock says, I'm hearing Diddy is up for the death penalty. I don't know how we put that together yet. Now, the superseding indictments that would be coming are going to have some really rank stuff in there to give him a federal death penalty case. They're not going to get rid of Diddy. Kind of one of those you bump somebody off thing and you're in deep trouble. You follow me? That's when you start looking at catching a federal death sentence. But if you look at the track record of the feds killing people, it doesn't happen very often. It really doesn't. Think back to how many people you can think that the feds have gotten rid of. Timothy McVeigh comes to mind. And since Timothy McVeigh, there was I want to say he was either Colombian or Brazilian or something. He was a big drug importer, drug dealer, whatever, and ended up getting the death penalty as well. But it took a hot minute for that to happen. I'm sorry, what? But a pimp got, yeah. Oddly enough, this man doesn't have any pandering charges. Somebody just said, dude being a pimp or whatever. Literally, I mean, there was a period of time in the 90s, rather. I don't know if you guys remember this, but there was a period of time where if you went to the Grammys, everybody was dressed as a pimp. Like that whole pimp culture thing really caught some traction for a while. I'm kind of glad that it's gone at this point. Hold on one second. Hey kids, here I am. I'm a man on the street. Tim McVeigh blew up the federal building in Oklahoma City, correct? And so at Terre Haute, Indiana, is where they have the death house for the feds. He was the last big name. He's the last one that everybody remembers. The death house where all of those cats live while they're waiting to go to death row. They've been there forever. I mean, there are guys. I went with on Con Air with a guy who was on death row, a white dude. His last name was Vaughn. I can't remember what his first name was, but I sat with him on Con Air, and he was just flying back for an appeal. So he had been in Oklahoma City for like a month or 2 months or something like that. But he was talking to me about how everything works there. Like they can buy tobacco, no one else can. He was breaking down what the difference between death row and the regular people who are on a super max at the same prison, right? And it's a huge difference. The guys up there, first of all, you live in a cell alone. You don't have a cellmate. Very, very different. But none of those guys get killed. I don't know what Diddy could have done that's going to get him the death penalty. Certainly, to date, the 3 charges he's got, there's nothing he could get the death penalty for those 3 charges. Now, if they pop off with some superseding indictments and we find out that there's bodies all over the place, in the letter that they delivered to the court, the new superseding indictment, which was really just kind of a modification. There weren't new charges. I think you guys already took care of it. I don't see where are they still here? I think they're gone. But Terry Nichols was Tim's accomplice. That is correct. Terry Nichols is not dead. Terry Nichols, to the best of my knowledge, is still just rotting away, but I don't think he's died yet. Hey, April Goodson. Hey, Pam. Motherbird63. What's happening? Hey, Truth Finder. Whoopee. Appreciate you. I really do appreciate you. Terre Haute, worst prison? No. Terre Haute isn't the worst prison, not by a long stretch. In fact, not for nothing, I like Terre Haute. As far as, prisons suck. All prisons suck. But Terre Haute's old and it's falling apart. It's kind of gross that way. But you can jam towels and things into the hole in the wall so that air doesn't come in. There's things you got to do to kind of insulate your cell because the wind blows through that place. But they let you. They don't mess with you about it. And you can, they let the inmates at Terre Haute live. Now, look, as a guy that's now running the lifeboat, this isn't necessarily such a good thing, but they didn't bust your chops about things like making wine. They let inmates be inmates. And that may sound really stupid, but a lot of times if you allow an inmate economy to thrive and the guys aren't stabbing each other or killing each other, and you get a yard that's got a lot of money kind of flowing around, people do really easy time and they don't fight because they don't want anything to disrupt the fact that they do let them make a little wine, or they're not busting everybody's chops for any of the little stuff. You know what? Stitch, my trophy is in the other room. I do not have it out here, but I will more than happily. I'll tell you what, if you have a trophy emoji that you can throw up there, how about if we do that for Stitch? Seizure free for 16 months. You guys got trophies in there. Help out the captain and throw some there. Woofy's got the right idea. That a boy, Woofy. Appreciate you. Russ Allen, there he is. You will see Russ tonight. Russ is the state inmate that we have. He is our resident California expert. And I'm not sure how much you guys know about prisons in the United States of America, but if there's a state you might like to avoid doing prison in the United States of America, high on the list. Like if you had a top 5, Texas would be on there, but it wouldn't be number 1. California would definitely, at least for me, I've done Fed time in California, and the difference between doing Fed time in California and doing Fed time any other place I did it was so dramatic that, they politic, which is a polite way to say that they really do everything they can to keep the races separated, to the point where if they catch you eating with somebody from another race, they will hurt you. It's pretty disgusting, really. But California's tough. He's the adorable dog in your picture. Yeah, I love that. I really do. So look, if you just got here, here's a quick recap. Beyonce, this isn't news. What's news is how they're doing it. So this is the Cowboy Carter tour. If I'm not mistaken, it's her 8th studio album. They were going to announce this on January the 14th, but LA was burning. Right? All of California was on fire, and it would have been bad taste to do it then. I don't know if that's the truth, but that's what they said. The timing seems suspect to me. They're announcing this on that run up to the Super Bowl. Today is the day of the Grammys. Right? They're going to want all kinds of attention. And I really hope that nobody here is going to watch the Grammys. For real, you can catch highlights from people on YouTube or whatever, but don't give the illegitimati, right, an opportunity to catch a view. Don't give the people who are running ads for the Grammys, don't let those people get any bang for their buck. I'm sorry. I feel the same way about the Super Bowl. You can do whatever you want, but I'm not watching either. I'm not doing this anymore. There isn't going to be anything in my life where I write a check to these people. I guess becoming a content creator has made me realize how much power you have with what you watch. No joke. You know how you see people and you go, oh man, that dude is such a scumbag. Have you ever seen that guy's content? Well, if you hadn't seen that guy's content, he'll go away. Or he or she will make positive content. There's so much power in viewing things. I don't think you got any idea. Forget the money. And there's money, make no mistake. That's why you will see thumbnails today you will see thumbnails today that says Sean Carter's been arrested. Put a deuce in the chat if you've seen Jay-Z has been arrested thumbnails. They're BS. The man's not been arrested, but there are people making those thumbnails. And I know you've come across live channels that have been live for 2 days. They've got a block of about a minute worth of content, right? They do 20 minutes of content, and then they cycle it through 3 times, and they keep it on 24 hours a day. This is a hustle. There's so much hustle. Jimmy says, my boy Kanye never left. Well, he left Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, now known as X. He hasn't tweeted anything in a really, really long time. And if you remember back in the day when Kanye tweeted, everybody in the world went, because he was really, really controversial. He had that anti-Semitic rant that, his rants that he was doing where he talks about, hating Jews or Jews running the world or whatever. And look, no hate here, people. You disappear for hate here, so don't do it. But whatever's Kanye's beliefs are his beliefs. But he stopped putting them out to the world, probably after he said, Adidas can't get rid of me. I ain't afraid of Adidas. And he lost a bunch of money. But his tweet that came back, his first tweet back said something about the new president in the White House, and he's a billionaire again. Maybe life is good or something along those lines. Then he deleted every single person that he had on Instagram. Does that sound familiar? Except Taylor Swift. I'm not making this up, folks. He deleted every single person that he had on Instagram except Taylor Swift. And since then, he has followed one other account, but it's a private account, so I can't see what it is anyway, so I'm not going to bother telling you that. And it's a name that's almost impossible to pronounce. It's a very odd thing. It's a letters or whatever. But we now have him firing back. He also said some really rank stuff about the former vice president, Kamala Harris. He then apologized to Kamala Harris, also on X. He said that don't call X Twitter and don't call him Kanye. So I will be, per his wishes, I will be referring to him as Ye from this point forward. If he wants to be called Ye, I don't have a problem with that, man. I don't. Yeah, he may still be trying to get at Taylor Swift. This sort of looks like that kind of play. You know what I mean? And he did say in a lyric that they ought to have sex because he made that B word famous. Not the most respectful thing. Now, when he did that, he claimed that the two of them talked about this. He cleared the lyrics with her before he recorded it. Catch that? He cleared this with Taylor Swift. This is his story. I'm not saying it's real, but he alleges that he cleared this with Taylor prior to putting out the lyric. That isn't actually what happened. And Taylor Swift said, no, that did not happen. We had talked, but there was never anything about that. Then Kim Kardashian, familiar with her? Got butt implants? You know Kim. Anyway, famous for a adult sex tape that was leaked. Signed a contract allegedly with the person before they made the sex tape. Allegedly, her mom was there during the making of it. Allegedly, it was shot from 3 camera angles, and allegedly, her mom helped her pick out which of the camera angles were the best before they leaked it. Allegedly, the contractual deal that they had with the male performer in the tape, allegedly, that was hatched up between Chris and Diddy. I'm not making that up. That has all been alleged. I am not making that up. Now, Kim Kardashian releases a tape, and the tape is Taylor saying, yeah, I'm cool with it. So this obviously is devastating to Taylor Swift, who told the whole world that, no, I didn't give that guy permission. Now, all of a sudden, there's a tape out there that says, yes, I did give that guy permission. And you know what old Swifty did? She got on an airplane and flew to another country, rented a house in another country for a year. Didn't go outside, didn't take phone calls, got weird, right? And I mean weird, not in herself, like her world got weird. She got paranoid. And I know what this is like on a level this big. Can you imagine having trolls that had billions of dollars? Can you imagine having trolls who hated you, who could release music, diss tracks about you, and do all of these other things? We live in a weird world now, to be sure. But Taylor took off for a year. Then, you know what we found out? We found out that that tape was BS. How about that? We found out that that tape had been spliced. How about that? I mean, that is just foul. Ex Mortis. Good to see you, Ex Mortis. The artist formerly known as Mortis. All right, then. I like it. Annette, good to have you here. Hey, techno hippie, lady warrior. You can take the boy out of the Kardashians, but you can't take the Kardashians out of the boy. That's a good one. I don't care who you are. That is a good one. Sorry, that's funny. Do I think that so Diddy's having a bad time in prison without drugs? There is no mistake in that. How do I think that Diddy feel in prison without all of the drugs? He's hurting. Make no mistake, he's hurting. You don't think that that's that's a painful stretch. We heard from messages left for his personal assistant, not KK, but the guy that just filed the lawsuit against him. We heard, messages where he said, he was ordering up the hit list of what he needed in the MVP bag. He used to have to carry around this MVP bag. And then it would be this honey product that you can buy over the counter at places like gas stations or whatever. And it's supposed to make sex better. I don't have any idea, man. I don't. It was new to me until I researched it, but it's called honey something or other. They sell them at gas stations. Charlie Mullins. But he also had a real bad problem with opiates. Now, for as long as he's been in, he's not dope sick. He had the dope sick part done probably in the first week. But, as long as he had been doing it, if everything they allege is true, he's not sleeping right. I promise you that. He's having a real tough time sleeping. And by all accounts, he's looking really, really gray and he's looking really, really thin. You know the shock to the system it is? I just mean going from having your own home to going to prison. To being able to get up, walk to the refrigerator, open it, take cold things out, right? The things that you take for granted every single day, going to the bathroom without somebody in there with you. Just dignity is gone like that. No pity at all. I'm not giving the guy any pity. Trust and believe. And let me tell you something. Do you know who I pity in prison? The 6% of people who are in there for something that they didn't do, because that's what they are now saying, that it could be as high as 6. Will we be able to get the phone calls from him? I am afraid that that's not going to happen. As of now, it's not going to happen. The feds don't give access to that stuff the way that the state does. There's a great series Jumpsuit Pablo does. He's a YouTuber. He's a good YouTuber. He does a series with this Wade Wilson guy. He does Wade's World, where he goes through every call the guy has from prison, and it's entertaining. It is. Wade Wilson's an idiot. Joseph says 30 days no sleep. It was brutal, but I got through it. Yeah, and it is no joke about a month of not sleeping. I know that sounds, to people that have not kicked an opioid, that sounds insane. Like you couldn't go a month without sleeping, you'd die. And the truth is, you get like 8-minute snippets. You lay there just like writhing back, and you will fall asleep. And the only way I know this is because the last kick wasn't mine. I actually helped somebody else kick after getting sober, and I was there through the process. And they will swear on a stack of Bibles they didn't sleep. I will tell you they slept a bunch, but that bunch didn't add up to an hour over the course of an entire day. And that went on for weeks. Weeks. It was horrific to watch. Truth Finder, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Look at that, folks. If you're turning green, Truth Finder made that happen. I love it when that happens. Tossing those puppies out there like hot sauce packets. Sobriety is not easy. It's essential, though. Boy, that's a fact, Johnny. And Johnny would know. Johnny's had to kick a few substances in his time, including opiates. Johnny had a pretty gnarly H habit for a while, but he's been sober for a long time. Yeah, it's a pretty tough process. He says, "Thank you all, glory to the higher power." I'll tell you what, man. You I tell people this all the time. You do not have to believe in God, and you can even mock me for believing in God. But if you look at the statistics, it really is great when someone is a believer, because the odds of us getting them clean are a lot higher. Now, that believer will tell you that's because God is doing that for him, and other people will say it's the mental thing. But whatever it is, I sure as heck prefer working with people who are in the process of doing that, because it does make life a little bit easier. However, I know a ton of people that got sober without it. You just have to find your path. I know this is the lifeboat, but I am so grateful to have never been. Something? I love it when people say stuff like this, Izzy. That's not a bad comment. It really isn't. This is one of the things that I hope this channel does. One of the things that, and we talked about it from the very, very beginning, is we would like the world to realize that that junkies are not all, just because that was something that a disease that you had to overcome. You're not a leper. You're not somebody that needs to not be trusted ever again, or you're not somebody that can't turn their life around. There's a lot of people that believe that, once you get addicted to certain substances, you're a write-off. There's no coming back. And H is high on that list. Meth is high on that list. Now, I want to tell you something. I have seen people come back from meth. I have seen some comebacks. Have you ever seen the pictures that they show you of the before and afters? It is the most horrific crap in the world. You'll see people that are just healthy and glowing, and and it's over the course of like 6 arrest photos or whatever. And by the last one, you're just going, oh God, what did this poor person do to themselves? I was looking at those with my old partner, Mark, and we were getting ready to do a show on it. I said, these are so depressing, bro. I don't even really want to do a show on this. And we got to the very last one, and I said to him, that is the worst. That's the worst one yet. And he said to me, but it's backwards. That girl, we saw her graduating in a graduation gown. And then the other one was the girl shot out, but it was in reverse. They were showing us she went from that to this girl graduating. And it was just, it put a lump in your throat. You just wouldn't believe. There's nothing you can't get clean of. I'm telling you that right now. And people always say, are there people who are beyond hope? Not yet. I haven't come across that one yet. I've come across a crap load of people that ain't ready to get sober. That's just how it is. You're gonna do dope until you've done enough of it. You're gonna drink until you've had enough to drink. It's terrible, and it doesn't make sense. It's a very difficult thing to understand. If I could crack that code, folks, there'd be a lot more than 563 people here. But the truth is, that's not crackable. It's never made sense to me. But what I have learned is, if you're the person trying to help, the addict is the least predictable person on earth, right? You can predict that they're going to go get dope. Other than that, there's not much that you can predict. So you have to be very predictable. You have to be that person that is always going to say to them, I know you're driving yourself into the dirt. I pray about you every day. And you can call me and say, I can't take this anymore, and I am going to come and help you. But I'm not going to come into your house, kick the door, and put my foot on your throat. And I've tried that, by the way. I've tried being the friend that goes and grabs somebody, and I'll stick around. But it's a very difficult process, and you kind of have to be ready to put it down. You really do. Mine lasted a year or more. Oh my God. Live and learn, people. You hear this? Techno Hippie says, mine lasted a year or more. Benzos were the worst things to come off. After I was prescribed them for almost 10 years. Good Lord. All glory to God. Yeah, I wouldn't be here without them. Tell you what, the worst kick. Yeah, I'm telling you, I've worked with a lot of people. Thank God. This is going to sound crazy. Thank God what I was kicking was heroin. Because benzos, you can die kicking benzos. You can't just cold turkey on it. It will kill you, right? Especially if you've been doing it 10 years. Your body goes into seizures. It's just like alcohol, where if you're far enough along, your body has to have that in order to survive. So they take you off on a detox protocol, and it can take forever, but you're miserable the entire time because they continually drop the dose and drop the dose and drop the dose. So you're in withdrawal for such an extended period of time. It's just terrible. What is a benzos as a prescription? So benzos, Things like Valium, that's a benzodiazepine. It's a class of drugs that came along because prior to benzodiazepines, we had barbiturates. And that's what we gave people who had anxiety disorders or things like that. And sadly, they're wildly abused, and it's very easy to die on it, right? Those were really heavy duty drugs, things like Seconal and Tuinol and phenobarbital. And then the Mac Daddy of all was the methaqualon, right? The Quaalude, the RORA, and the Lemon 714, or the Mandrax. Dennis says addiction is a selfish disease. Klonopin is the top of the food chain currently for like the ones that they prescribe. That's about the strongest thing that they're going to prescribe to you as a benzo. Addiction is a selfish disease. It is. It's a disease that does not allow you to see the damage that you're doing to the people that you love. And the hardest part of that is that the addict will not be able to see that until the scales are removed from their eyes, so to speak. And once that has happened, the guilt of what they have done almost, is overwhelming, and it drives them back to do the things that they did. And it's hell on the individual who is living with the addict. And I can't, there's not a chance I could make amends for the things that I did in the early part of my life. I couldn't. You live your life the best you can for the remainder of it, but we hurt people as addicts. We absolutely decimate the people that we love. And that is a fact. Valium is so cheap, yet so very dangerous. It is. To be sure, Valium is dangerous. All of them are. All of those meds are the devil. Now, all of those meds are the devil if you're abusing them. All of those meds are the devil if you're getting high with them. But there are people out there who have such severe anxiety disorders that without something like a Xanax, they couldn't live. I have a very close friend who takes Valium. He does not abuse Valium, and he could not, I promise you, survive without them. We have gone through a very long period of time together, and he has successfully gotten off of them. And I don't know whether people like this are born or they're made, but you could make a movie about it. That's the kind of thing that the Farley brothers would pick on, but like a car door slams outside. And everything gets this guy's heart to where, it's just it was a horrible thing for him. But when they finally, and he was a miserable human being who had attempted to take his life a couple of times. But he needed a benzodiazepine. There are people that need them. Sadly, like so many other drugs, painkillers are the greatest thing in the world if you're in pain. If you break your freaking leg, you got any idea the morphine molecule, we wouldn't be able to do any of the things that we do with surgery, any of the miracles that happen in modern medicine. All of them basically hinge on the morphine molecule, because you wouldn't be able to endure any of the after pain from these things if it wasn't for those kinds of medications. The trouble is, once it gets out of the pool and into the ocean, right? Junkies get a hold of it. People want to change their consciousness. There's no getting around that. If you go to a daycare center or an elementary school at recess, and you'll watch kids spinning in circles or rolling down a hill, and then they jump up and start walking and stumbling sideways, and you will see them laughing and giggling, and they've done studies. Go watch the kids that are doing that and follow them for 15 years. And you're going to find people that grow up looking to change how they feel. They're going to do everything they can to experiment. It's tough. I had somebody say to me once, do you think that there is a way on this earth to actually eliminate drugs from the culture? And I said, if you could make them stop getting people high, if the substances stopped changing people's consciousness. But there are people for whom that's recreation. I know the term recreational drug is awful, but 80% of people who do drugs don't get addicted to doing drugs. They do them. They fart around with them. They don't do them the way we do, right? We're the problem. We have a disease that they don't have. My mom's best friend grew up in Germany during World War II as a small child who had to run to bomb shelters on the playground when bombs were dropped. She had anxiety, worry all her life. I believe that. Yeah, I believe that. Okay, sweet. Are we making animals giving up getting high too? You know what? There's not a way to make people give up getting high. There's not. People are going to alter their consciousness. I'm not an anti-drug channel. I'm not even bummed out that people alter their consciousness. This is a channel for people that don't successfully alter their consciousness without having their life spiral out of control. Right? It sucks. You know, it's tough. The announcement is that Beyonce is going for the 8th tour. This is her 8th studio album tour. It's called Cowboy Carter. However, she only announced that she's going on tour. The entire world knew that Beyonce was going on tour. She had done an album. You're going to promote the album. If you go back and just type in Beyonce's or Cowboy Carter tour, there are people that have been talking about this tour for months. They're trying to put up a smokescreen because bad things are happening around Rock Nation. There's a lot of things that are popping up, and folks, this media, this world of information that we live in, it's like I said, when the Cassie Ventura tape broke, it pushed anything we were talking about off of the table. She has enough fans that she's hoping by announcing this, and then she'll string it out, and in a day or two, they'll announce the 12 cities or the 8 cities or whatever that she's going to be going to. And then they'll wait a little bit longer, and they're going to try to stretch that out all the way to the Super Bowl. And they are having the Beyonce Bowl as well. We don't know what that is. This may be all it is. But they're trying to put the smoke screen up so that we have the ability to not, don't look over here kind of thing, right? And that's really, I think that's sort of what she's going for. So she doesn't have to explain why they aren't together, in my opinion. We got a smart crew here. Her tour will be a dud. She knows, we know, she knows. Sir Tedrick, well played. On a love, great comment. You know, when there are people, same thing with ADHD. There are people out there that will swear to you on a stack of Bibles that no kid on earth ever needs ADHD medication. But the proof in this, and this is a drug addict talking, not a doctor, not anybody else. But make no mistake, I know folks who can take 2 Adderalls and go to sleep. Knock them the hell out. That doesn't make any sense unless the theory is correct, that there are people out there for whom the brain chemistry is so different that when you give that person that medication, it doesn't wire them out. It slows them down and it helps them focus. That's real. Trouble is, it's also real easy for doctors to crank out prescriptions. And in the beginning of it's like anything else, man. In the beginning of their career, they sit down and they talk to every single parent. Hold on a second. All right. What is Audubon? Audubon is lorazepam, and it is a benzodiazepine. Not a depending on the milligrams that they write it in, it's not super, super strong, but it can be. Like if you get if you get the name brand, they come in houses. The A looks like exactly like a house. That's the symbol on the pill. So it looks like a little schoolhouse, and they come in different colors. One of them pink, little pink houses. Audubon helps with my anxiety and helps with my PTSD. Of all of the benzos, I've always found it to be, and this is a drug addict. I ain't a doctor. I'm a drug addict. But for me, it was always the easiest of the benzos. Like I never got stupid on it. I could get stupid on Xanax. I could get stupid on Valium. Audubon was a more predictable, I guess. Yes, you are absolutely right. This is crazy too. Katy Perry is a very pretty little girl. Yeah, my brother is actually going to be going live with the cat. I have no idea how that works, people. This is probably going to be the biggest dumpster fire. You can't go live with a kitten. Like, I don't know what the deal is with that, but apparently Johnny Scoville does believe he can go live with a kitten. So if you guys want to stop over to chase the heat, you'll actually see a Maine Coon cat in action. Again, don't know how it's going to happen. There's a really good chance it isn't going to be good. On Audubon, it says tranquilizer. Yes, all benzodiazepines are tranquilizers. That's what they're all built for. Yeah, lorazepam is the name of the drug. Like the generic would be lorazepam, and it's sold under the name brand Audubon, and it looks like a little house. We changed Audubon to hydroxyzine for the anxiety. Okay. She really is cute, Woofy. And Brock Bandy just put up the link for that. I'm going to head over there and watch that, people, because to be really honest with you, I love my brother, but I really want to see how anybody is going to pull off filming with a kitten. That's kittens are not very predictable. I'm not sure if you know that, but they're hell on wheels. I used to take Valium, but my pain doc wanted me off it. Having a hard time since. You know what? There are a lot of doctors who think outside the box, and for a lot of people, that's it gives you a chance to. I remember a pain management doctor, giving me what's the name of that stuff? Elavil, and I think it's an antipsychotic. But in really small doses, it had an amazing pain-killing effect. And using it with other drugs to supplement it in. And I know that there are people who give, like my friend who broke his neck and he's in a wheelchair for life. He has to take Valium every day. Has something to do with the muscles, but they take it all of the time. Hold on one second. Doctors prescribe Valium as muscle relaxers. Some do. I think that there are some really great muscle relaxers out there. If you ever need a muscle relaxer, there are ones that really work. But never felt high from Klonopin or Valium. High tolerances from the past, probably. If you didn't feel anything on Klonopin or Valium, did you feel the opposite? Did it give you any kind of like a coffee buzz? Because people who have very severe ADHD, that kind of medication does different stuff to them than it's very odd. It really is. And again, not a doctor, just a drug addict. All right, people. I have at least, I'm not joking, I have at least 3 more shows that I got to do today on different subjects. And tonight I am going to be on with Casper and Russ for Night Yard, and that is at our normal time. What are muscle relaxers would you recommend? I can't recommend anything. I am not a doctor, but there are so many great muscle relaxers out there. Yeah, that's scary stuff. The Soma is probably the big one that people talk about. Flexeril is a big one that people talk about. So what's cyclobenzaprine and carisoprodol. I think those are carisoprodol is the one that they use the most. And an interesting side effect is that, an interesting side note is Soma was around in the book before it was a drug. Brave New World, they gave everybody, they would go on Soma holidays, the workers, to keep them sort of in line. They would give them 1 gram of Soma or 2 grams of Soma. It was the drug that they gave to the masses in the book to keep us all stupid, kind of a thing. And then a drug company made a muscle relaxer and called it Soma. Oh, I don't know the answer to that, me and my cat. I would not be surprised if Diddy was taken from, if he was, that's not, it doesn't necessarily mean he got smacked in the head or anything like that. They do schedule people of our age to be brought into stuff. If that happened, it has to have just happened. I have almost every news feed, news outlet, news line. If you knew the number of papers that I pay, New York Times, all of them. I got, because every time you need an article that I got to read to memorize for something, and they put that little thing over it, I can't have that happen. Especially if it's somebody that talks about Diddy a lot, probably from knocking his head against the wall. Well, or somebody knocking. Hey, is that better? Or somebody knocking their head. SE Mac. No one else was complaining about my low mic, so I hope you can hear me. But I'm at the end of this rope anyway, peeps. So what I'm going to do is I am going to call this a day. Talk to your doctor before you do any quitting of anything. Benzos can kill you. Alcohol can kill you. even if you're quitting something that can't kill you, what you need to do is talk to a doctor. There are so many different kinds of medical assisted treatment that are available today that makes it so much easier. And there's no nobility in suffering your way to sobriety. There isn't. Take the easiest road you can possibly take to sobriety. There's no shame in that, honestly. And if you think that if you hurt more, you're less likely to go back, that's horseshit. I'm telling you it is. In fact, I have seen the exact opposite. When people really, really hurt and they go through that hell that just hurts so bad, they want to make sure that they get one more shot at the other side. I've never seen it be successful to where, yeah, it was so bad I never went back. Then you probably weren't an addict. Because the ones that are addicts, it never really works out that way. What is my opinion on Jaguar Wright's behavior and the conduct of her team? Who is her team? I didn't know. I'm not sure if I know who the Jaguar Wright's team is, Salma. And I don't know who she's bullying either. Maybe I've been out of it. I cover a lot of stuff, and I'll be honest, I'm probably 8 videos behind on a couple of content creators that you've noticed that I haven't called them out, especially Jaguar and Maggie and Odell, for attacking a disabled woman. I don't have any idea what the hell you're talking about. You can believe that or not believe that, but I have no idea what the hell you're talking about. I don't know who attacked a disabled person. I got no idea what you're talking about. But I will tell you this. They're content creators. So you're probably new to the lifeboat. I don't call out content creators. I don't talk about content creators. I will put up a positive message about one. Go find the video where I trash a content creator. I got a rule here that I just do not ever create drama in this field. When you make a video tearing down things that content creators do, they make a video tearing down what you do, and they become trolls. And if that's what's going on out there and they're trolls, I haven't seen it yet, but I promise you, I don't talk about content creators. And you can go and look at all of the ones that trash me. I don't fire back. I don't play that game. I just don't. So that's kind of how I roll with that one. It has been the policy on the lifeboat since the 4th day of December 3 years ago. I don't talk about content creators. It's as a rule of thumb, I don't do it. I call out people that who use their influence and their power and their cash to victimize people systematically. If they rise to that level, though, you got my word, I'll be all over them, right? But until then, do me a favor, everybody. Reach out and try to save somebody. I'll see you on the next one. A lot of content coming today. Stick around.